Hello everyone, this is Jotto and welcome to Versus Series, where a player from my team, Acebreakers, plays against a well-known or up-and-coming pro player. Now for this week we have Fire from Acebreakers, who will be playing against Wuaschtsemme from Team Luckydraw. Now, yes, Wuaschtsemme means sandwich in German, he is aware of this. It was actually very good timing because Wuaschtsemme recently got 3rd place in the HyperX Invitational. So I thought, well, it's nice to get someone from Luckydraw, let's get Wuaschtsemme on. Now, before we sort of go forward with the show, just a quick announcement that there are now 2 new players on Acebreakers. John P, who was actually on Versus Series, who was from Team Django's, and also Ice Girl. Now, some of you may have heard of Ice Girl. She was from 2P. She did a lot of work with 2P. She did quite well in a lot of 2P's tournaments, and was had sort of the own article on her about being the only female gamer in top 32, and there was a lot of random stuff about that. So you're going to be seeing more of those 2 from Acebreakers. We might get them on Versus Series every so often. So anyway, without further ado, let's get onto the decks. Now, quick thing, we had a format change for this week we're testing out. I want to see how you guys sort of react to it. Where normally it's been 3 decks and then you play 2. But for this week we did 4 decks and you could ban 1. So, in this particular case, Fire banned Miracle Rogue, or Rogue, assumed it was Miracle, and Wuaschtsemme banned Hunter. And to be honest, those seem like the only 2 you should ban right now. Which is quite funny because the title of Wuaschtsemme's Hunter is also banned. Yeah, Hunter's a bit broken at the moment. Miracle's a very, very good deck in general though, so it's one of the only decks that could bring it down. So this Hunter list we'll just start with. This Hunter list is, quite frankly, immaculate in terms of the 2-ofs in this deck. It's just all 2-ofs and then 2 legendaries. There's no 1-ofs. Now, somehow, he has managed to fit Tracking and Flare in a Mad Scientist deck, so I'm curious to see where he's got the space from. It appears like there's no explosives, which could be a bit awkward with Mad Scientist, but it could work out definitely. Not because you don't have explosive, but because you're only running 2 traps. So double bow Mad Scientist might be a bit clunky there, but in retaliation you get double Tracking and double Flare in the deck, which is very, very nice. Now, as for the Miracle Rogue list that Fire has brought on, Miracle Rogues have changed a lot recently. We saw Shade from Naxxramas in one, from RDU, we've seen some Bio Teachers, things like that. And speaking of sort of creature bases, this particular version of Miracle, I don't usually keep up with the Miracle list that my team tend to go through, so I'm not really sure what version this is. It seems to be 1 Sap, so it's 1 Sap, 1 Conceal, 1 Flurry. 1 Gnomish Inventor, and then double Azure, Loatheb. Okay, so I remember Fire's been running some sort of Violet Teacher version, and a lot of them have been focused more on creatures. Edwin Van Cleef is in this deck. A lot of people are replacing it, but against Hunter especially, they don't tend to play Iron Beak Owl. They could, but they don't tend to, so it's actually a decent choice. So, onto the mulligans. Now for Fire, we've got a pretty basic mulligan here of, I would say, everything apart from SI, and then for Wuaschtsemme, keep the Animal Companion. And that, yeah, that would be correct. So, to start with, we do in fact have the double SI7 coin opening, one of the sort of most overpowered and also weirdest openings in the entire game. Now, he wants to coin this turn, and I think he was debating SI7 or Edwin, and the reason he went for the SI7 is because he has Backstab. So he can go Backstab SI as well, and it puts a 3-3 on the board. Alright, so we're going to see a kill command come out here. Yeah, this is quite sensible, because otherwise you can get seriously punished for Animal Companioning. Companioning? Yes, no. So we got Earthring Farce here. Very fast start from Fire here. A lot of 3 drops. Let's see what this Tracking ends up wielding. Unfortunately, because of the way I've got the perspective set up, I can't really see what Tracking would, what the options for Tracking would be. But you can definitely go with what he got, which is Leroy. Now, he has to use kill commands on these because, as I said, Animal Companion gets punished quite heavily. As we're seeing, another 3-mana 3-3. It's getting a little excessive, I must admit. So many 3-mana 3/3s. I think we're just gonna see lower Theb here. I mean, we could also see Freezing Trap. Freezing Trap with this Animal Companion. I think that's what he's gonna do. What do you get? Misha. That is gonna get Backstab SI7. That is pretty much guaranteed that this is a Backstab SI7. Lower Theb actually presents something interesting here. I think what you do is backstab it and then run the Earthen Ring into it, and if it is freezing, then you don't play Loetheb, and if it isn't freezing, you do. Yep, and that appears to be the play he's going with. A very, very interesting play there. I think as would have gone through the same process, but it's definitely a good way of looking at it. Now, this high main or Loetheb, high main Loetheb, I think you play high main here, and then next turn you can go Loetheb, Mad Scientist. Now, there is no sap in this hand, which means that this high main is considerably better than it really has the right to be. I'll put it that way. He is in a bit of an awkward spot right now, where he can't really play much. He could just play this Loetheb, and then that's really it. He could also play Deadly Poison, but you don't really want to because you have Gadget 10 in your hand. So for this turn, wow, double high main. I think we're just going to see Loetheb, Mad Scientist. Or we could see a second high main. If this one didn't get sapped, I think you just go second high main actually. And then go face. Push damage, he doesn't have saps. Yeah, this is the penalty of only running one sap. Oh, we do have Shiv. Now, the real question is, do you go Gadget Zan here? Can you risk it? I think the better question is, can you afford not to risk it? Oh. Duh. I don't like taking 6 there. I think I would have sacked the 3/3 and left a Hyena on the board than take 6. I think he's just going to lose now to Loetheb. Wow. High mains end the game really fast. Yeah, we're just going to see Loetheb. Loetheb into Mad Scientist or Loetheb Hero Power. I think Loetheb Mad Scientist and then just Leroy on the following turn. And I think that's going to be the end of the game. That ended very fast. 3 turns. That's all you need. I'm pretty sure the game's over. I don't really know what kind of draws you could have. I guess you could trade, but then you're just dead to Hero Powers and such. So it's. I think that's the end of the game. I'm pretty sure. I don't know what he could have right now. He could Shiv the 5/5. Actually, he can he live the turn? No, he can't live the turn. That's game over. There is no way of living the turn in the deck. Yeah, that game ended really fast. I'm a bit in shock with this because it's the kind of thing where Fire had a really fast start, and Wuaschtsemme didn't have a fast start. He just had a really, really powerful mid game. And if there had been a sap in Fire's hand, I think he would have easily won this game. That's sort of the weird thing about this, is that if he had sap, I think he would have easily won this game as soon as he sapped the first high main. But he didn't have sap, and that's kind of what happens with mid-range Hunter, and that's one of the reasons why isn't as much of a counter as it used to be to mid-range Hunter, where it's still good against the deck, still very good, but you need to run double sap, otherwise you just die, because they have a lot of extra pressure they can put on you. So I would say if you're going to be running Miracle Rogue as your Hunter counter, play double sap. You really do need it for Hound Master and high main, because if you don't have saps, that happens, but if he did have sap, he would have just won the game. So Fire has brought in Control Warrior. Now, an interesting way of looking at this is that the other deck choice he had was Paladin. And I think most people would have brought Paladin in here against Hunter, although it is a bit of an experience thing where they both have decently good matchups against Hunter. And I know Fire plays a lot more Control Warrior than Paladin, so that could be an experience-based choice. Which, I mean, I can fully understand. Usually you pick the deck that you're more experienced with. So, yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to sort of see how it goes from here. It feels like Control Paladin was either brought in as a hand lock counter if Hunter got banned, which it probably would have, or if he was one game up and needed it to close out against a good matchup. It feels kind of like that because the deck's very consistent. So anyway, for this Control Warrior list, we're running 1 Ghoul, 1 Whirlwind. Okay. We've also got 1 Gnomish, double Senjin, double Sludge Belcher. That's very good against Hunter. I've got a Black Knight, Kel'Thuzad, and Kel'Thuzad makes a lot of sense in this deck versus Ragnaros because there's so many creatures in the deck. And besides that, pretty standard. So it's basically Kel'Thuzad and Taunts as opposed to Ragnaros and some of the other utility stuff. So that makes a lot of sense from my perspective. So, for the mulligans, we do in fact have for Fire one of the easiest mulligans I think you'll ever see. I would just mulligan, I think, the whole hand. And for Wuaschtsemme, he's debating the Hunter's Mark. I think you keep the Houndmaster. I think you keep the Houndmaster and mulligan the Animal Companion, actually. I really don't like Animal Companion in this matchup because it just gets shield slammed. If they have shield slam, then it always dies. So I really don't like Animal Companion in this matchup. That's the way I see it. Whenever I play Animal Companion against Warrior, it just gets shield slammed unless it's Huffer and then it does 4 and then they armor up and shield slam it. There's like no way around it if you don't have Creeper. Anyway, so I think the mulligan was a bit of a mistake there. Fire has a decent hand. Oh, the Armorsmith makes that 10 times better, actually, because he had a decent hand, but he didn't really want to play any of them now. Is this going to be something... Actually, is there anything this could be that's, like, good? Misha? Yeah, okay. Misha, I think, is the best one he could have got there. I'm guessing we're just going to see Cruel Task execute. I don't really see a reason not to. You're not going to be executing much early on in the game. Executes in general are not really going to be used much in this matchup. I think you play the bow and try and set up a freezing. Yeah, I think you do. I think you play the bow, kill the 2/2, try and set up a freezing trap. And from Fire's perspective, next turn I think is going to be an unstable ghoul and a hero power unless he gets Senjin or something. Something along those lines. Speak of the devil. The funny thing is I actually don't watch these games ahead of time. That's an interesting fact, is I actually don't watch these games ahead of time. I just edit them, but I don't really watch them, and the reason for that is because I want to be surprised when top decks happen. So I don't really watch these games ahead of time, which it adds a lot. It adds a lot for me. It means I can be a little more genuine on my reactions while I'm commentating. So we got the freezing trap here. He's just going to attack with the Armorsmith. I think you can just attack and replay Armorsmith. I think you do. Just replay Armorsmith and then attack. I would say Fire's in a pretty good spot right now. The one worry I do have is that he can't deal with a high main. So next turn onwards, he's going to have to deal with high mains. We could see Buzzard Unleash, kill the Senjin, give him 3 armor, which is a bit awkward. But I think Buzzard Unleash is a good way of doing this because your hand is actually terrible right now. If he gets a Hunter's Mark, this could be really good. Houndmaster and Freezing. Alright, not the best, but not exactly bad. It means if a high main sticks. What he could do is high main, Houndmaster, Houndmaster, in that order. On turn 6, 7, 8, respectively. So, I mean, that is a good way of doing it. He is a bit vulnerable to shield slams at the moment because he can't deal any damage. Interesting. So he's playing around explosive. Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting way of doing it. I think I agree with it. Playing around explosive is fine. High main is just going to be crazy here. Like, how do you deal with a high main? He's just going to kill the ghoul and then play the high main, and he's in a very good spot right now. I think actually Wuaschtsemme is quite far ahead. For the same reason as last game, he drew his mid game. Oh, Lotheb top deck. Yeah, he drew his mid game in the matchups when he wanted his mid game to be strong. So we're just going to see a second high main here, I would imagine, because he doesn't want to get Black Knighted. He is getting a little low. I think second high main trade. You could go face to stop shield slams. I think, yeah, actually stopping shield slams is fine. So going face is okay, but then he kind of telegraphed he didn't have it last turn because he didn't use it. Got Sludge Belcher coming out here. Oh, wow. This is really aggressive. I'm not sure if this is gonna pay out. Like, he's kind of betting this Sludge Belcher to just block both high main hits. This is really aggressive, not trying to deal with one of these high mains, because he could have almost dealt with one completely. So that's a really aggressive turn of events. I think this shows sort of how safe of a player I am, where I would have traded and then probably axed a Hyena. But he's going for the win. I mean, he does have not Grommash. Is it Grommash? Yeah, I always get confused with those. He does have Grommash to try and end the game swiftly. Do you brawl? I think you'd brawl, actually. I'm not sure. Brawling... I definitely don't agree with trading if you're trying to go for this end the game quickly ploy. Although, actually... No, I think trading the axes there is fine because your lethal draw is still the same if you think about it, which is Grommash. Now we're just going to see a second Houndmaster come out here. Actually, how much damage does he have? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Alright, so he's got 17 damage. That's 2 turns. He does have double Hunter's Mark, which is a little awkward. Something I could see is Freezing Trap, Houndmaster. So Houndmaster, 2-2, Freezing Trap, and then run the 2-2, run the 4-4 into the 1-3, or maybe play bow. Do you have enough mana to play bow? 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, you do. So you just play bow and then get 1 extra damage in, but then you don't hero power. But then you have bow on the board. It's a complicated turn. I think he's going for the double Hunter's Mark play, where he's just going to completely clear this board and then play Mad Scientist and Houndmaster. This is a lot safer. You don't have nearly as good of a board, but it is a lot safer, especially considering you've just seen Houndmaster. I mean, you've just seen Black Knight. He's not playing the Houndmaster, interestingly. Yeah, because he wants to play the Freezing. They do similar things, though. But that Freezing is just game-ending at this point. There are very few outs. The way he wins this game from here is Gnomish Inventor into Brawl. I think that's it. Gnomish Inventor into Brawl, and the Gnomish Inventor lives. Like, that's the only way I can see of him winning this. Because then his opponent will only have 2 2-2s on the board, and then you have 1 card in his hand. Is he brawling first? I don't agree with this. I think you have to lower the chances of the high main living. Or just of your opponent's stuff living, because how do you deal with 3 2-2s? That's how you deal with 3 2-2s, apparently. He does have Whirlwind, Cruel Task, to deal with one of them for free. Oh, something was just played, and by the animation it was Flare. Yeah, it was. Alright, so we've got a Houndmaster off the top deck Web Spinner. He's going all in right now. I think it might be enough, though, considering just how aggressive he can get. He's doing a lot of damage. That's the way I'm looking at this. Where... if Fire deals with this board, he's going to win this game, but I'm not sure he'll be able to, and I think that might be the nail in the coffin there. He's taking 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and there's the Freezing. The Freezing stops everything, and I think that's game. I don't really see a way out of this. He needed something better than what he got. I think he should have gone for the Gnomish Inventor first and then the Brawl, because if there was 1 less 2-2 on the board right now, I think it may have made a pretty big difference. Just in terms of like how hopeless this board position is. He's taking 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He's dead. Like, his opponent has lethal. Yeah, I think the 1 less 2-2. Yeah, he's just realized. He's probably going to concede out. Yeah, he's realized. So the 1 less 2-2 would have made a difference there. If he had hit the RNG, that is, which, I mean... it's like, how much do you depend on RNG? But it's always worth going for the win sometimes. But anyway, that marks our 3rd 2-0 in a row. I think we got 3 or 4 2-1s in a row, and then 3 2-0s in a row. So, the actual series overall kind of shows why Hunter is so good, I think. Where in the bans, we did have Miracle Rogue banned because Fire's lineup was soft to it. Whereas Hunter kind of, it overpowered the Rogue because of Sap, and we already went over that, where it's kind of like Sap is the key card. If he had it, he would have won, but he didn't, so he lost. And in the second game, I think it really does show what Hunter can do against Warrior. The reason why Warrior is usually good against Hunter is because they don't always get the double high main. If they do get it every single game, they usually win. But sometimes they don't get the double high main, and you can usually deal with the first one, as we saw. He could have dealt with the first one, he decided to be more aggressive. I'm not sure if that would have made much of a difference. I think I probably would have traded. At least I would have traded. Because it meant that you dealt with one of the high mains completely. Or almost completely, there would have been 2-2 on the board. So I think that may have been a slight mistake. But he was sort of going for the top deck, where if he got the top deck, he would have won the game. So he was going for the top deck, and there were 2 Houndmasters and also a freezing to stop it, and the high mains just beat him to death. That's what usually happens when the Hunter beats the Warrior, and then if the Warrior wins, it's because he didn't get double high main in quick succession. So that's basically how that matchup works, and was actually sort of a cookie cutter way of Hunter winning against the Warrior there. Anyway, thank you all for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe. If you have any feedback, put it in the comment section below. If you would like to be on Versus Series at any point, just message me on YouTube. You can send a private message to me and I'll see it and we can talk about it. But anyway, as for now, this has been Jotto, signing off.